Welcome to the deep dive. If you are joining us today, you probably already know the stakes. English isn't just another language.
Not at all. It's the universal gateway.
It really is. It's the undisputed language of global business, of scientific research, international travel, and almost all of modern digital culture.
It represents this huge open door to opportunity.
And the world is basically demanding you walk through it.
But that door, well, it's often guarded by this wall of frustration.
Mm-hmm.
And you, listening to this, you might know this feeling really well.
Oh, I'm sure. You've passed the advanced grammar tests, you can read academic papers, but then you step into a real conversation.
A high-stakes meeting, maybe an interview.
Or just a casual chat, and suddenly the words just vanish.
Exactly. That deep, isolating chasm between knowing the language passively in your head and using it actively, confidently, and fluently with your mouth. For so many people, it feels absolutely unbridgeable.
That feeling of being stuck, that cognitive freeze, that is exactly what we are here to dismantle today. Our source material for this deep dive is not another book of vocabulary lists. It's a comprehensive, actionable roadmap.
A methodology. It looks at fluency not as some mysterious gift for the lucky few, but as a skill that can be precisely engineered.
Through psychology, environment, and specific training techniques.
It's truly a holistic approach. So our mission for you today is to go beyond that simplistic advice you always hear, like, oh, just practice more.
Right.
We're diving deep into the mindset shifts you need to conquer fear, the immersive environments you have to build to literally rewire your brain to think in English.
And the targeted tactical strategies that force that leap from passive knowledge to active, unshakable, confident communication.
We're going to deconstruct the old habits that are holding you back.
And explore the building blocks, vocabulary, grammar, pronunciation, from a performance perspective.
We're going to hand you a detailed path so you can stop defining yourself as a student of English.
And start operating as a fluent user of English. It's time to unlock that speaker you know is waiting inside.
Let's get into it.
So let's unpack this. The guide we're looking at begins by stating something pretty radical. It says the journey to fluency is only about 20% mechanics.
And 80% mindset.
Exactly. If your mental framework is toxic, no amount of vocabulary memorization is going to save you.
That's absolutely right. And the most toxic element in that mental framework is what the source material correctly identifies as the myth of perfection.
Yes.
This single belief system is the most significant source of anxiety for, I'd say, intermediate and advanced learners.
I know exactly what you mean by that. It's this belief that fluency means knowing every single word, never having to hesitate for a second.
And sounding exactly like a native speaker.
The perfect filtered accent we hear in movies or on professional news broadcasts, it's an impossible standard.
It is an impossible standard, and what's worse, it's a paralyzing one. When you hold yourself to that, every single conversation becomes a test.
Where a single misstep feels like total failure.
Exactly. So we have to completely, permanently redefine what fluency actually means. The working, healthy definition that allows you to make progress is simply effective communication.
Okay, so what does that look like in practice?
It's the ability to express your intended thoughts and ideas continuously, spontaneously, without putting, undue strain or effort on the listener's part.
What's so interesting about that definition is that it immediately levels the playing field, doesn't it?
It does.
Because when you really listen to native speakers, your English-speaking colleagues, your friends, even us right now, we hesitate. We backtrack.
We use filler words all the time. We even make grammatical mistakes constantly.
So fluency, even in your own mother tongue, is really about the seamless navigation of those imperfections.
Precisely. If you are waiting to sound like some sort of machine-gunning, error-free automaton, you will wait forever.
Right.
The goal is connection, not correction. The moment you internalize that, your main mission is just to successfully convey an idea or share a piece of information or tell a story.
And not to prove your linguistic mastery.
That's it. That enormous pressure just lifts. And every conversation stops being a high-stakes exam and becomes an opportunity to simply communicate.
Okay, so once that ideal of perfection is shattered, we can then address the immediate barrier it creates, which is fear.
The fluency killer.
But the source material calls it the fluency killer. It triggers that physiological fight-or-flight response. Your heart rate spikes, your throat gets tight.
And the words you knew 5 seconds ago are just completely locked away in your brain.
Conquering this fear isn't just helpful. The guide frames it as completely non-negotiable for anyone who wants to find that conversational flow.
And we need to get surgical about this fear. It's not just one big thing.
Okay.
The guide specifies 4 common individual anxieties that you, as the learner, have to identify within yourself and then challenge with cold, hard logic.
Let's start with the one that I think hits our self-esteem the hardest, the fear of judgment.
This is the big one. It's the worry that your mistakes, a wrong tense, a misplaced article, will lead people to think you're not intelligent or not educated or not capable.
The fear that your language errors define your total competence as a person.
Exactly. But this is where logic has to intervene. You have to remind yourself that most native speakers are overwhelmingly patient, and often they're deeply appreciative of the effort you're making.
They're not sitting there with a red pen.
No. They are focused on the message you're trying to deliver, not the minor imperfections in how you deliver it. Their focus is on the content.
That helps, but then there's that internal pressure of communication breakdown, and that leads to the fear of misunderstanding.
Right, the anxiety that you just won't be clear or that the listener won't get your point.
And that often couples with the third anxiety, the fear of the unknown.
Ah, yes. This is that panic that sets in when you're mid-sentence and you suddenly realize you don't know the crucial word.
Or you forget how to finish the complex sentence structure you started. The train has left the station, and you have no idea how to stop it without crashing.
And the temptation in that moment is to just freeze up completely.
So how do we navigate those moments of confusion smoothly?
By having conversational tools ready to go. The source material insists you should rehearse rescue phrases just as much as you rehearse vocabulary.
What kind of phrases?
Things like, could you explain that another way, please? Or, wait, let me rephrase that. Or even just, what I mean to say is...
Oh, they're tools of recovery.
Exactly. They show competence, not confusion, because you are actively managing the conversation breakdown rather than collapsing under it.
And finally, the really personal one. The fear of your accent. Feeling self-conscious because you sound different.
This is so crucial to address because so many learners waste enormous energy trying to completely suppress their native sound.
But your accent isn't a bug, it's a feature, right?
That's the perfect way to put it. It is part of your identity and your history. The goal is intelligible pronunciation, just being clear enough to be understood, not the complete eradication of every non-native sound.
Most people genuinely enjoy diverse accents.
They do. When you can accept your accent as part of your unique voice, you free up massive cognitive resources that you were previously spending on performance anxiety.
So we redefine fluency, we challenge these 4 root fears with logic, and then the guide offers the ultimate tool for converting that fear into fuel. The mistake as a tool mindset.
This is a profound shift. You have to stop viewing mistakes as sources of shame or failure. A mistake is simply a data point.
A data point, I like that.
It tells you exactly where your linguistic knowledge is incomplete or where a habit is ingrained incorrectly. When you make an error, the response shouldn't be beating yourself up.
It should be curiosity.
Yes.
Yeah.
Why did I use for instead of since there? What's the precise rule difference?
You transform a negative emotional event into a positive, actionable research query.
Exactly. When a listener corrects you, you shouldn't feel embarrassed. You should feel grateful. You've just received a free, high-quality data point about your learning needs. This mindset shift is what separates the learner who stagnates in fear from the one who accelerates through rapid iteration.
Okay, so once the mindset is solid, the next stage is to establish the environment.
Right. Fluency is achieved through continuous exposure. The source material emphasizes that immersion isn't just about, moving to an English-speaking country.
Which is possible for most people.
Exactly. It's about strategically weaving English into the existing fabric of your daily life.
The core philosophy here is fascinating. We're maximizing exposure to English in its natural, unedited state, specifically to train the brain to stop that exhausting, spontaneity-killing process of internal translation.
Translation is the enemy of fluency. Every time you have a thought in your native language and then mentally swap it for an English equivalent, you introduce a delay, a lag. We need to build direct neural links between the concept and the English word. So we start with the lowest effort, highest return strategy, digital immersion.
This sounds simple, but I think it's deeply effective. We're talking about immediately changing the operating language on your phone, your computer, all your major apps to English.
Think about the daily repetition. You are passively learning a massive volume of highly practical, high-frequency technical vocabulary.
Commands, error messages, user interface labels.
Software settings, all without dedicating a single minute to studying. If you use your phone 50 times a day, that's 50 unconscious contextual encounters with English vocabulary.
And that extends to how you consume content. The guide strongly recommends curating your social media feeds.
Turn your leisure time into learning time. If you follow content creators, news outlets, or hobby groups on Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube, make a conscious switch to English-speaking channels.
So you're not studying, you're just enjoying content about your actual interests.
But you're constantly soaking in natural usage, rhythm, and colloquialisms.
Hmm.
And, crucially, consciously using English for all of your searches, whether for recipes, troubleshooting a tech issue, or checking the latest news.
That decision has exponential returns, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Not only do you practice typing and thinking in English, but the results you consume, the articles, the forum discussions, the video transcripts, they're all in English, constantly reinforcing usage patterns.
Okay, next, the powerhouse of exposure. Audiovisual immersion. Everyone watches movies and TV shows, but the source details a critical, graduated path for getting the maximum benefit.
We need to acknowledge the crutch of native subtitles. They are comfort food. If you are still relying on them, your brain just defaults to reading and ignores the spoken sound.
So the necessary first step is graduating to English subtitles.
Yes, and that middle step is so vital.
Why is that?
Because natural spoken English is often, well, methy. Words link together, sounds are reduced, certain phrases are almost swallowed.
Like wanna or gonna.
Right. The English subtitles act as a bridge. They connect the sound that your ear actually hears to the written form. This trains your ear to recognize those reductions and linking sounds that are the hallmark of natural, rapid speech.
And only once that connection is solid should you move to the final challenge? Watching with no subtitles at all.
That's the high-level challenge. It forces your ear to process the sound independently. And similarly, podcasts are an incredibly efficient, active listening tool.
Because they're often pure audio, they force deep concentration.
Find content you genuinely enjoy, history, comedy, deep dives like this one, and use that dead time during commutes or cleaning or workouts for focused listening practice.
And don't dismiss the power of music.
Music is perfect for internalizing the rhythm and intonation of English. English has a flow, a musicality. By listening to songs and reading the lyrics, you internalize where stress naturally falls and how phrases connect.
And singing along, even badly.
Singing along is a powerful form of low-stakes speaking practice that trains your mouth muscles.
Moving to real-world immersion, which is about physically integrating the language. The simple sticky note strategy is brilliant for building those direct mental links we were talking about.
Yes, labeling your physical environment, drawer, keyboard, faucet, microwave, it ensures that when you interact with the object, the English word, and only the English word, pops into your mind.
You're actively bypassing that translation step.
You are. And the material stresses the need for extensive reading, even if the material is slightly above your current level.
Reading builds stamina.
It does. The goal of continuous reading of blogs or news articles or graded readers isn't 100% comprehension of every single word.
What is the goal then?
The goal is exposure to complexity, seeing advanced vocabulary and sentence structures in context, and training your brain to tolerate ambiguity, to infer meaning from context without panicking over an unknown word.
All of this immersion builds toward the ultimate goal outlined in the guide, the Think in English Challenge. This is where the switch flips from being a student of English to a user in English.
It is the ultimate test of breaking that translation habit. But many learners hit a wall here. They try to think complex thoughts and realize they don't have the vocabulary or the grammar falls apart, and it leads to instant frustration.
That's the key challenge I wanted to ask about. When you hit a wall mid-thought and you realize you don't know the word for procrastination or efficiency, how do you keep that momentum going?
The key is to acknowledge that it has to start slow, simple, and, well, a little artificial. The guide suggests a gradual progression. Start with mental narration of simple daily actions.
So just commentating your life inside your head.
Pretty much. I am walking into the kitchen now. I need to make coffee. I hope the traffic is light today. If you hit a word wall, don't stop the thought process. Use a descriptive placeholder like, I need to get that thing that cleans the floor, instead of vacuum cleaner. The goal is continuous flow.
So the focus is on uninterrupted thought, not perfect vocabulary retrieval.
Exactly. Then you can progress to describing surroundings. Mentally describe what you see on the bus, in the park, or in your office. The woman in the red coat looks stressed. The sky is dark. It might rain soon.
This forces you to access descriptive adjectives and verbs immediately.
It does. And finally, you move to planning. Thinking about your schedule, your to-do list, or your weekend plans entirely in English.
This is a high-level practice because planning requires using future tenses and conditional structures.
It is intensely valuable. It forces your neural pathways to strengthen. It might feel slow and awkward for months, but persistence is key. That awkward stage is proof that you are actively building the internal infrastructure you need for spontaneous, automatic conversation.
Okay, we've established the right mental environment. Now we move into active production. This section addresses that great paradox. You need to speak to get better, but fear prevents you from speaking.
Right, so the solution is to create private, low-stakes opportunities to gain muscle memory and confidence before you ever have to interact with real people.
We need to get the mouth moving without the emotional anxiety attached. And the most powerful tool described for this is the shadowing technique.
Shadowing is so often mentioned, but it's rarely explained in enough detail. Let's unpack it fully.
At its core, it's mimicry, right? You're trying to speak at the same time as or just slightly behind a native speaker.
It is mimicry, but with a specific linguistic goal. It bypasses the analytical, overthinking part of your brain that wants to conjugate every verb perfectly.
So what's the focus?
Shadowing focuses entirely on prosody, the music of the language, the rhythm, the intonation, the stress, the speed. It trains the physical muscles of your mouth, tongue, and throat to produce English sounds fluently.
So it's like physical exercise for your mouth.
Wow.
Let's walk through the critical four-step method the guide lays out.
Okay, step 1. Listen for context. Choose a short, clear audio clip, maybe 60 to 90 seconds from a TED Talk, an NPR story, a podcast that provides transcripts. Listen once just to get the main idea.
You need to know what you're talking about.
Yes. Step 2. Listen while reading the transcript. This is the technical training phase. As you listen, follow the text exactly. Pay special attention to reduced forms.
Like, I don't know for I don't know.
And linked words like pick it up, sounding like pikey tough. Seeing the written word alongside that messy sound is how your ear starts to decode natural speech.
Okay, then step 3. Listen and repeat in real time. The shadowing itself.
This is the high-intensity phase. You play the audio again, and you speak immediately after, or even at the same time as the speaker. And it's important to note that mumbling here is not just acceptable, it's expected.
Why is mumbling okay? That seems counterintuitive.
Because the goal is rhythm, not crystal clear articulation. If you stop to articulate every word perfectly, you'll fall behind and you'll break the rhythm. You are literally just trying to get the muscle movements, the timing, and the stress patterns right.
It should feel a bit like an athletic exercise.
It should feel slightly breathless. This phase often feels awkward, but it is forging that critical link between auditory input and physical output.
And finally, step 4. Record and compare. This is where the self-correction happens.
You have to record yourself shadowing and then listen back to back with the original clip. You'll hear subtle differences, a misplaced stress, a faulty intonation curve that you would never have detected while you were speaking.
This comparison gives you actionable insight.
Tells you exactly what to focus on next time.
Shadowing is, I think, the fastest way to acquire the natural cadence of English.
Beyond shadowing, we can integrate the language by converting daily tasks into spoken practice. The source details self-talk and reading aloud.
Yes, this is the verbal equivalent of the Think in English challenge. When you are cooking or doing chores or walking the dog, narrate your actions out loud. I'm opening the pantry. I need to get the flour. I hope this cake doesn't burn.
This forces immediate, spontaneous sentence formation under zero pressure.
And the requirement to summarize your day out loud for 5 minutes.
That's about building sustained, continuous speech stamina. It is. You're forcing yourself to connect thoughts, feelings, and events using cohesive devices and descriptive vocabulary for an extended period without a conversation partner to rely on.
And reading any material aloud has a similar benefit, right?
Yes, just getting comfortable with the physical awkwardness of making English sounds for minutes on end.
To build structured speech, especially for professional settings, the topic presentation exercise is a genius hack.
It mimics high-pressure speaking, but without the consequences. You pick a topic you genuinely care about, your favorite sports team, a major project at work, a hobby.
And then you only allow yourself 60 seconds, strict, to just jot down keywords, no full sentences.
And then the delivery. 2 minutes of speaking without stopping.
The constraint is crucial. It forces you to prioritize continuous output over perfection. If you get stuck, you can't pause for long, you have to paraphrase or move on.
And afterwards, you must record and review. But don't just look for mistakes. Look for successes.
What do you mean?
Notice where you did well. I explained that complex idea clearly. Or, I used a great phrase when describing my passion. Acknowledging your own competence is how you build confidence.
But solo practice eventually hits a plateau. True fluency requires interaction, so the power of conversation.
This is where the rubber meets the road. The most accessible starting point is a language exchange partner, or tandem.
Where you're exchanging your native expertise for their English expertise, usually split 50-50.
Right, there are platforms for this, Tandem, HelloTalk, Speaky. But you need to make these sessions effective, not just awkward chit-chat.
How do you do that?
Structure is key. Don't waste the first 15 minutes deciding what to talk about. Come prepared with 2 or 3 discussion topics or questions. And critically, you need clear rules on correction.
This is important.
The advice from the guide is vital here. Ask your partner to correct only your key, recurring, or fossilized mistakes. If they interrupt every single time you make a minor error, the flow will be destroyed, and your fear of judgment will be instantly reignited.
For those who need accelerated, targeted progress, professional tutors can be a game changer.
A good tutor, from platforms like italki or Perply, is a specialized diagnostician. They identify the specific weaknesses that you don't even know you have, maybe issue with modal verbs or confusing too specific phrasal verbs.
And they provide a structured, personalized plan.
They push you safely outside your comfort zone, which is absolutely necessary for growth.
And we shouldn't forget the power of small talk strategy.
Those short, predictable interactions, ordering a complicated coffee, asking a sales clerk a specific question, or calling to book a table, they are low-stakes victories.
The scripts are often simple and repeatable.
And each time you successfully execute one, you deposit confidence into your emotional bank, which prepares you for the larger challenges.
We've spent a lot of time on speaking, but the guide correctly emphasizes you can't be a good speaker if you're a bad listener. Active listening is half the fluency equation.
And it's so often overlooked. If you only focus on generating your next sentence, you're not engaging, you're just waiting for your turn. Fluency is about understanding the real-time input and reacting appropriately.
So we need to distinguish between passive listening, which is just noise, and active listening.
Active listening, as the source describes it, means listening with a specific purpose.
Okay.
So for any audio material, use a 2-pass system. First, listen for the gist. Don't worry about details, just grasp the main idea and the overall tone.
And then?
Second, listen for specific details. Listen again, actively seeking answers to concrete questions. What were the 3 reasons the speaker mentioned? Or what was the date or statistic they cited?
The ultimate stress test for active listening, mentioned in the material, is the transcription exercise. It sounds grueling. Why is this so valuable?
Because it forces attention to the subtle mechanics of spoken English that the brain normally just filters out. You listen to a very short clip, 30 seconds, maximum 60, and you try to write down every single word, including the fillers, contractions, and linked words.
That seems like a massive time sink. If a listener only has 20 minutes a day, should they prioritize this?
I think it's a phenomenal return on investment because it uncovers your auditory blind spots.
Yeah.
You quickly realize that native speakers don't say, "Did you eat yet?" They say, "Jeet yet."
Right.
Transcription forces you to confront these reduced forms and train your ear to parse the actual sounds of natural, rapid conversation. Maybe do it strategically once a week for short, focused bursts.
And in a live conversation, the source recommends using prediction and paraphrase techniques.
Prediction keeps your brain engaged and mentally ahead of the curve, anticipating where the speaker is going. And paraphrasing is the verbal confirmation. So, if I understand correctly, you're suggesting that.
This not only ensures comprehension, but actively demonstrates your listening.
Which is crucial for rapport. And finally, the warning about limited exposure.
Yeah.
You cannot limit your practice to a single accent.
This is so important for real-world capability.
If you only train your ear on American TV shows, you will be completely lost speaking to someone from Glasgow or Mumbai or Melbourne. You must proactively seek out diverse accents, British, Australian, Indian, South African, to ensure your brain is agile enough to handle the full spectrum of global English.
Okay, we shift now to the technical tools, reframing them as performance assets rather than academic hurdles. The biggest frustration in vocabulary is that gap between passive recognition, knowing a word when you read it,
And active production, being able to use it instantly in speech.
it's huge. Your passive vocabulary might be 10,000 words.
But your active vocabulary, the words you can retrieve in real time under pressure, is often only a tiny fraction of that. If you only rely on recognizing words, You stall in conversation.
So the solution is learning exclusively in chunks or collocations.
This is the idea that no word should ever be learned alone. You should learn the company it keeps.
Give us some examples beyond the standard appointment.
Absolutely. Think about the verb to make. You don't just learn make. You learn the chunk to make a decision, to make an effort, to make progress.
Or the word heavy.
Right. You learn heavy rain, heavy traffic, or a heavy drinker. When you need to express that it's raining hard, your brain retrieves the pre-assembled chunk heavy rain, not big rain or strong rain.
Learning in chunks accelerates spontaneous speech because your brain retrieves a prefabricated unit. It saves massive amounts of cognitive processing time.
Precisely. And it makes your speech sound significantly more natural and native-like. And to cement these chunks, the guide advocates for a living vocabulary notebook.
This is more than just a simple translation flashcard.
Far superior. It needs 4 key components: the word or chunk itself, its definition in English,
Forcing you to think inside the language.
its related collocations, and most importantly, a personal example sentence.
Why is the personal example so critical?
Because memory is deeply tied to emotion and personal relevance. If you write a sentence about your own job or an embarrassing childhood memory or your family, that word instantly becomes emotionally sticky.
That personal context is what moves the word from passive recognition to active production.
It's the elevator. And we have to use efficient review. The guide mentions spaced repetition systems, SRS, like Anki or Quizlet, but you have to use them effectively.
Now, how do you do that?
You must use them to review context-rich chunks, not single isolated words. The failure point of most flashcards is simple word-to-word translation. A good SRS card should show you the entire chunk, or even better, your personal example sentence with the key word blanked out, forcing production.
Oh, word of caution, though.
Never add more than 7 to 10 new items a day, or you will quickly become overwhelmed.
And what are the priority items for our active vocabulary?
High-frequency conversational connectors and fillers. These are the grease and glue of spontaneous conversation. By the way, actually, to be honest,
Learning these helps you buy time and transition smoothly.
keeps the flow going even when you're searching for a key noun.
Next, the area that causes the most fear: grammar. The source material argues we need to shift the goal away from rule recitation and toward developing an intuitive feel for what sounds right.
We want to move from conscious effort to subconscious habit. If you are pausing to recite the rules for the present perfect tense mid-conversation, you're already lost.
So the solution is focusing on patterns over rules. How does one do that?
Let's say you're struggling with conditional sentences. Instead of studying the chart, you find 15 examples of them in real-world contexts. News articles, interviews, movie dialogue. You highlight the pattern. You analyze why the speaker chose that tense in that specific situation.
By seeing the pattern repeated, your brain begins to absorb the usage intuitively.
Exactly. And for deep-seated errors, you need to master your key mistakes.
This is vital. Most learners don't have hundreds of mistakes. They have 3 to 5 persistent, deeply ingrained, what the guide calls fossilized errors.
Fossilized means they become automatic subconscious habits that feel correct to you, even though they're wrong. Maybe it's consistently dropping the S on third-person singular verbs, or misusing 2 specific prepositions.
So how do we fix a fossilized error that the brain thinks is correct?
It requires focused surgical effort. First, you identify those 3 to 5 errors. Second, you attack them relentlessly. If your error is subject-verb agreement, you create 50 to 100 correct sentences focusing only on that specific structure, saying them out loud repeatedly.
You are essentially overriding the faulty neural pathway with sheer correct repetition until the correct version becomes the new automatic habit.
It is far better to permanently fix 5 errors than to vaguely know 20 rules.
And finally, pronunciation, the key to being understood. The guide maintains that you could have perfect grammar and vocabulary, but if the music of your speech is wrong, you'll remain unintelligible.
Right. And the goal is always intelligibility, not elimination of your accent.
So we break pronunciation down into 3 layers, starting with individual sounds.
Every language has unique sounds that pose problems. For English, it's often the T, the distinction between L and R, or the short versus long vowels.
For these, you need mechanical practice.
Use a mirror to see the physical shape of your mouth. Practice minimal pairs, words that differ by only 1 sound, to train your ear and mouth at the same time. Think ship versus sheep, or pin versus bin.
This teaches your brain to recognize and produce those small, crucial differences.
But the guide stresses that the music of English is arguably more crucial than fixing every single sound perfectly. This includes word stress and sentence stress.
This is where many learners from syllable-timed languages like Spanish or French or Mandarin struggle the most.
Yes, in those languages, syllables tend to take equal time. English is a stress time language. Its rhythm is like Morse code, long bursts followed by short reductions. If you put equal stress on every syllable, you create what we call the machine gun effect, and native speakers find it exhausting to parse.
Let's look at the first layer of music, word stress.
In any multi-syllable word, one syllable receives the primary stress. If you stress the wrong syllable, the word often becomes unrecognizable. The example from the source is excellent.
The word family.
We say PHO to graph, but photographer and photographic. If you don't master that shift, a listener might not understand what word you're trying to say.
And then the larger layer, sentence stress.
This defines the overall rhythm of English. We stress the content words, the nouns, main verbs, adjectives, adverbs, because they carry the meaning. We glide over and reduce the function words, articles, prepositions, helping verbs, because they just provide structure.
The example, dogs eat bones.
Those three words are stressed. Everything else in the sentence is reduced and spoken quickly. Shadowing is the absolute best way to internalize this rhythm.
And finally, intonation, the melody of the voice.
Using a rising tone signals a yes-no question. Are you coming? A falling tone signals a statement or a one question. Where are you gumming? The correct intonation shows the listener your intent, and if your intent is unclear, your message is compromised.
We have the mindset, the environment, and the sharpened tools. The final piece is confidence. And the guide offers a really important perspective here.
It does. Confidence is not a state you wait for. It is an outcome you build through deliberate, consistent action.
We need to set ourselves up for success with the strategy of small wins, big momentum.
Confidence is built through proof of competence. Stop setting vague, terrifying goals like, I must beat the stock market perfectly next week.
Set specific, small, manageable, low-stakes goals.
This week, I will initiate a purchase interaction using 3 complete sentences. Or, I will summarize my day to the mirror for 5 consecutive days.
Or I will book a restaurant table by phone.
And every successful interaction, no matter how small or scripted, is a confidence deposit. As you accumulate these deposits, you build a reserve of self-belief that you can draw upon when you face a genuinely challenging, high-stakes situation.
For those high-stakes moments, the presentation, the job interview, the source advocates strongly for preparation as the antidote to anxiety.
Anxiety thrives on the unknown. By preparing, you reduce the cognitive load. Anticipate the 5 to 7 most likely questions. Practice the answers out loud, not memorized verbatim, but familiarizing yourself with the key phrases and arguments.
Having these scripts or prepared chunks frees your brain to focus on active listening and natural interaction.
Rather than frantically searching for every single word.
And confidence isn't just mental, it's physical. The guide mentions the profound impact of body language.
Standing tall, maintaining appropriate eye contact, using open, relaxed gestures, it all projects confidence, even if you are shaking inside. The source references research on power poses.
Briefly adopting postures of confidence.
And it can chemically trick your brain into feeling more assured. And a simple smile makes you instantly more approachable, which sets a positive tone for the whole interaction.
A major cause of conversational anxiety is that constant internal monologue. Did I sound wrong? Am I making a mistake?
We need to shift that focus entirely. The strategy is to focus outward, not inward.
Stop auditing your own performance.
And instead, focus with genuine curiosity on the person speaking to you. Ask follow-up questions about their experience, their opinion. When you are genuinely interested in the other person, your self-consciousness just fades away.
Finally, using the mind itself to prime for success. Visualization.
Mental rehearsal is powerful. Before a challenging meeting, close your eyes and spend 3 minutes visualizing a successful, confident, positive outcome. Imagine yourself speaking clearly, making your point, and walking away feeling relaxed and satisfied.
This mental priming significantly reduces pre-event anxiety.
And it sets the expectation for success.
We have covered enormous ground today, moving from the psychological foundation all the way to advanced technical implementation.
Yeah, we have.
If we have one message to summarize this entire comprehensive roadmap, it's this. Fluency is not a destination. It is a continuous, engineered process that demands you abandon the myth of perfection and prioritize consistent, effective communication.
And that success is built on radical consistency. You have to actively integrate English into your life. through immersion switching your digital world and starting to think in English.
And you must employ targeted surgical practice.
Shadowing to master the music of the language, learning vocabulary in chunks, and relentlessly fixing those 3 to 5 persistent, fossilized errors.
Confidence is the necessary fuel, built one small victory at a time. The world of English is vast and waiting to hear your perspective.
Remember this above all. There will be good days where the words flow like water, and there will be bad days where you stutter and regress. That is the universal experience of learning.
You have to treat yourself with compassion on those bad days.
The strategies we've given you are a set of practical tools, and their effectiveness relies entirely on your compassionate, consistent commitment. Your unique voice is valuable, and the world is waiting to hear it.
So we encourage you to pick one small, actionable item right now before you move on with your day. Switch your phone language to English. Find a short clip with a transcript and complete the first 2 steps of the shadowing technique.
That one small, confident action is all it takes to start building those fluency pathways immediately. Go out there and make some mistakes. They are your greatest teachers.